Well, President Trump promising to find answers on at least 10 mysteriously missing or dead scientists. They are all linked to classified material, nuclear research, or aerospace. The details of some of the disappearances have stoked conspiracies. For example, in one case, retired Air Force Major General William Neal McCasland was reportedly experiencing a brain fog before he went missing in February. Authorities say he left his phone, glasses, and other personal devices at home, but his wallet and a revolver were missing. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt saying today this, quote, "The White House is actively working with all relevant agencies and the FBI to holistically review all of the cases together and identify any potential commonalities that may exist. No stone will be unturned in this effort, and the White House will provide updates when we have them." And our Peter Ducey asked President Trump about this. Watch.
There are these 10 missing scientists with access to classified stuff, nuclear material, aerospace. They've all gone missing or turned up dead in the last couple months. Based on what you've been briefed, what do you think is happening here, and do you think that this is connected or totally random?
Well, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. I just left a meeting on that subject, so pretty serious stuff, but we're going to be hopefully, I don't know, coincidence, if you whatever you want to call it, but some of them were very important people, and we're going to look at it over the next short period.
Dakota, so that's great to hear. Hopefully we have answers in a week and a half. And as the president said, hopefully it's random and just a terrible coincidence, but there might be something there. They'll pursue it.
Yeah, look, I look forward to finding out what this is. I mean, you see this big infatuation with UFOs, with all this information, the nuclear aspect of it. We're seeing more access to these people, more people coming out on podcasts, and more people talking about this, and more people being more vocal on this. I mean, you got to think of how many people have actually touched and had access to this over all these years. Hopefully it's coincidental, right? Hopefully it's nothing combined. But I'm not a big person who believes in conspiracy theories. But I definitely don't believe in coincidences, so this is going to be a tricky one for me, right? It puts me in a position, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not bought in on that it's some government, some aspect of that.
Right. I mean, I do trust, obviously, our White House to get to the bottom of this, and our agencies. Who I don't trust are our enemies, Kaylee. And we know that our research and so many things that the public isn't aware of in terms of our technological developments or weapon developments is tantalizing to all of our enemies that might try to get their hands on the research these impressive individuals were working on.
And we know many of those enemies crossed the border during the Biden administration, because it was not just people from South America, from Mexico. There were people from China. There were people from all over the world. When I see Caroline's comment, I find it interesting. They say they will provide regular updates. So they realize that transparency is important here. And this is obviously criminal investigation. So I found that interesting to see that. But bear with me for a moment as I pretend to be a statistician here. There are about 22,000 homicides in the United States per 2023 data. That means about 62 murders per day. So that sounds like a lot. But when you look at it, your chances of being murdered in this country are 0.5%. Your chances of being kidnapped as an adult in this country are 1 in 1 million. So 0.00001%, 5 zeros. So the reason I bring that up, it is a small likelihood that you are murdered. It is a small likelihood that you are taken as an adult. And you have 10 people here, the same profession, being a scientist, not a particularly dangerous profession, all murdered, some of them from the same lab. The statistical likelihood of this happening randomly to 10 scientists, the same profession, some of them the same lab, some the same region of the country, is so infinitesimally small. It's not impossible, sure, but when you look at that, it does make me believe there is something here. I hope not, because that is rather sinister, but we will see.
Donna, you've worked on so many criminal cases. Now that we have these resources, talk to us about the process and what it means to you, what you see now that we have the power of the White House behind this to ascertain whether there's a pattern and then get some answers.
Well, and I think Kaylee's right. I mean, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to look at facts, right? These are the facts, and she just told us the numbers, and that's really staggering when you think about the likelihood of this happening. So what you have to do is law enforcement has to go through the fact pattern of every situation, what people were working on specifically, how that affects potential foreign actors, who may want to target specific people and why, and then look and see if there's a pattern. Look and see if there's a pattern in the way that they disappeared, how they disappeared, where they were when it happened, what they may have been communicating to and from they will look at their whole social media, or their whole digital footprint and the emails that they were sending, what they were working on, and they will try to see if there's any commonality. And my guess is you're probably going to find some. Like, this just seems to be too coincidental here that we can't say for sure that we hope it's really a coincidence, because I'm not so sure it is.
Yeah, Harris.
I mentioned yesterday, I think that a task force is needed for this, and you would need, and having the president now lead the charge on getting answers is really important, because many of these people were working with classified information, I would imagine. I mean, a lot of what they were putting their hands on wouldn't have been in the public. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been so treasured for knowing what they knew, and we didn't know they knew it. So you've got that. You need a task force because you want that information to stay in a tight group, and you need a group that will work with law enforcement across the country without all these ad hoc investigations. I mean, it's hard enough to get them to communicate on a homeland situation, as we saw with 9/11. We've learned a lot since then, and we've moved forward. I don't know if we've moved far enough for this case not to have some, oh, I didn't know, I thought Bill was calling you, I mean, they do a great job locally, but what if these things have an interconnection that we just can't physically see? The one scientist that you pointed out at the very end as you were introing this topic, Emily, is interesting because he left his phone behind, he vanished, he took his revolver with him, he'd been having some days of mental fog. We do have to leave some room, and I loved what you said, Dakota. You know, we have to leave some room for, well, maybe they aren't all connected, but let's find out which ones could be. Let's eliminate what we need to eliminate, and could we please, good Lord, find somebody who might be missing? Like, we have to leave the door open for everything.
Like, I would be more concerned if we had found 10 bodies. But also, we are playing on a huge assumption right now that nobody knows where they're at, and they're not just telling us where they're at, right? Like, there's a huge assumption on that aspect of it, right? Like, we're playing it out like they're kidnapped, like maybe we're not using them right now, they're not somewhere where we don't need to tell, you know what I mean? So, like, we're trying to put together a bunch of pieces on a bunch of hypotheticals, right? As if we don't truly know where they're at and they're not working, right?
Yeah.
But when the pieces come together.
Yeah.
Wouldn't someone know? Wouldn't someone know that they were working somewhere? I mean, I don't know.
Somebody has to know where they are.
Yes. If they're working.
Well, I can tell already we're going to stay on this one.
Yeah, exactly. So many questions. Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.